In 2025, a team unearthed a discovery paralyzing archaeologists on Central Asian steppes. Torchlight revealed a wooden artifact from a vault, covered in impossible chisel work. Its panels mapped our solar system, every planet tracing a perfect, ancient orbit. Amazingly, distant Pluto was clearly depicted, identified by our science only in 1930. This centuries-old Tartar relic, no forgery, used no glue or nails in its joinery. It thrummed with a low, strange resonance, pulsing secrets of an erased empire. The soil cleared. A geomagnetic storm swept the plains, causing engravings to glow softly. The artifact's vibrations triggered visions. Immense horsemen, alien skies, mud-consumed cities. Could this be the key to Tartarian civilization, harnessing sound to heal or move mountains? Did they even manipulate time itself, or is this evidence of a profound cover-up? A cover-up so deep it erased an entire culture, leaving only haunting myths. What immense power buried this knowledge, now reawakening in 2025? Who would see it hidden once more? These questions burn like stars. They demand answers, drawing us deeper into a mystery-shattering accepted history. The Tatar people, often seen as nomadic tribes, are reimagined in new theories. They appear as master builders of an advanced global society, woven with music, a society engineering woodwork defying physics, charting cosmos with shocking accuracy. This challenges our accepted timeline of discovery, revealing lost knowledge. Their advanced understanding of medicine and cosmic order is now undeniable. This artifact, unearthed in 2025, is not an isolated piece of the puzzle. Across the world, similar discoveries are sending ripples through the underground research community. Resonance chambers found deep beneath Buffalo, New York, begin humming during solar flares, their walls inscribed with petroglyphs that match those found in Siberia. Submerged portals in Turkey's Black Sea are causing divers to experience hallucinatory visions of Tatar warriors. Ancient texts, finally unlocked by artificial intelligence, describe a process called event folding, a way to compress matter or time which could explain how nomadic armies traversed entire continents with impossible speed. A July 2025 post on the X platform from Tartaria Truth links these findings to Sumerian tablets that also show 9 planets in our solar system, proposing that the Tatars were the inheritors of knowledge from the lost continent of Mu, which vanished beneath the cataclysmic floods of the last ice age. Could all these artifacts be the scattered remains of a Tartarian empire that was deliberately suppressed? And if that's true, who orchestrated its downfall? Why do their descendants, people like the Uyghurs and Crimean Tatars, still face such brutal oppression today, their modern suffering concealed by the very myths we now chase? Let us paint a scene to bring this enigma to life. Imagine a Tartar shaman in the year 1400, deep within a workshop on the steppes, working under a brilliant canopy of stars. Guided by the whispers of his ancestors, his hands carve a wooden model of the solar system. With every groove he cuts, the wood pulses with a vibration that causes stones nearby to tremble and lift, defying gravity itself. As he works, shadowy figures watch from the darkness. Perhaps they are early Freemasons or agents from a rival empire plotting his demise. They are planning a flood, a deluge of mud to bury his secrets forever. Suddenly the ground begins to shake, and a thick, viscous tide surges over his village, swallowing the city's spires and silencing its songs of power. This scene, while a product of imagination, strikes at the very heart of the Tartaria narrative, a civilization of profound wonder, erased from history to preserve a world order built on power and control. By 2025, stories like this are gaining serious traction. The podcast Deep Research, Tartaria explores in a July episode how engineered mud floods, possibly triggered by sonic or electromagnetic weaponry, may have buried entire cities, their technologies then salvaged and repurposed by their conquerors. Photographs from Buffalo, shared on clandestine forums, purport to show buried chambers that begin to hum during geomagnetic storms, as if ancient power grids are reactivating. Artificial intelligence analysis of texts found in Siberian vaults, reported in 2025, describes quantum devices capable of compressing distance, offering a scientific explanation for the Tatars' legendary mobility. Are these anomalies the echoes of a lost science? Or are they deliberate signals from a hidden lineage, stirring now as the Earth's own magnetic fields begin to shift? The conspiracy grows deeper still with whispers of secret cabals. Your own comments on our channel often point to the Freemasons, the Jesuits, and the Illuminati, accusing them of systematically rewriting history to obscure the achievements of the Tatars. Dean Henderson's book, Royal Bloodline, Wetiko and the Great Remembering, still a subject of intense debate in 2025, traces a supposed Anunnaki bloodline from ancient Sumeria, through Rome, to the modern elites who allegedly suppress technologies like the Tatars' resonance devices to maintain their grip on power. This theory resonates with your own thoughts. Our education, from kindergarten onwards, ingrains in us a narrative that glorifies Western progress while dismissing non-European empires. The Tatars' woodworking, exemplified by the relic depicting Pluto, defies modern engineering. Panels are said to self-assemble through sonic vibrations, a phenomenon described in Ottoman records detailing the construction of a Turkish mosque. A video from March 2025 links similar stone engravings to Sumerian astronomy, suggesting a forgotten global network of knowledge passed down from Mu or Atlantis, civilizations lost to ancient floods. Lost to ancient floods. Why would such marvels be hidden? Perhaps to prevent the resurgence of nomadic independence, a profound threat to empires founded on control and resource dependency. The very diversity of the Tatar people adds yet another layer to this intricate puzzle. You've pointed out their multicultural fabric, white-skinned Kipchaks, the red-haired giants of legend, yellow-hued Mongols, and the mythical Black Tatars, who were sold into slavery in North Africa. Their bloodlines weave through history, even into Caribbean tales of the Karabi. Some theorists, in August 2025 posts on X from Ata Legacy, connect them to the lost tribes of Israel, noting how their griffin heraldry mirrors the symbols of Judah. Genetic studies conducted in 2025 have uncovered Middle Eastern markers within Tatar populations, hinting at ancient migrations across Berinia or forgotten maritime routes. This incredible diversity, all unified under the Golden Horde, directly challenges the simple narrative of them being barbaric raiders. It paints a picture of a harmonious, blended civilization whose accomplishments were deliberately fractured by their conquerors. As we explored in our episode on Fomenko's new chronology, history itself may have been compressed, with the Slavic Tatar core of Tartaria erased to diminish Russia's own ancestral claims. Yet the real tragedy is not in the past, it unfolds today. The Turkic kin of the Tatars, like the Uyghurs and the Kazakhs, face cultural erasure, their modern plight tragically overshadowed by the very Tartaria myths we are trying to unravel, a thread we must continue to follow on this journey. This exploration is built upon our previous episodes, the mud floods that swallowed Tartarian cities, Fomenko's compressed timelines that shrink history down to 1200 years, and the ancient technologies of Gunung Padang that hint at a prehistoric global network of knowledge. The Tatars emerge as the missing link in all of it. Their legacy pulses just beneath the surface of our world, in relics that hum with power and visions that haunt our dreams. What technologies did they truly command? And who benefits from their continued silence? Do these discoveries in 2025 signal a great reawakening, or are they a warning that history's darkest cycles are about to repeat? As you drift towards sleep, let these questions swirl in your mind, like distant constellations in a forgotten sky. In the heart of a 13th century steppe, a Tatar shaman stands before a gathering of warriors. His fingers dance across the strings of a horsehair instrument, coaxing out ethereal notes. The air around them vibrates, not just with sound, but with an invisible force, a power that soothes deep wounds, calms agitated spirits, and some say can shift the very stones beneath their feet. These are not simple melodies, they are a science of resonance, a form of technology woven deep into the fabric of Tatar culture, capable of healing the human body and bending the laws of nature itself. Now fast forward to 2025. In biofeedback laboratories hidden in remote parts of Eurasia, scientists are replicating these ancient frequencies. They report inexplicable recoveries, with patients emerging from stress-induced illnesses, their own pulses synchronizing with tones that echo the Tatars' lost art. Meanwhile, inside a Turkish mosque, a wooden relic stands as a silent testament to their craftsmanship. Panels carved with the solar system, including Pluto, interlocked without a single nail or drop of glue, humming faintly as if alive with buried secrets. How did a nomadic people develop such sophisticated technologies? And why was their knowledge buried so deep beneath layers of earth and time? Could these artifacts, now being uncovered in 2025, reveal a Tartarian legacy that threatens the very foundations of our modern world? The Tatars' mastery of sound seems to begin with their shamanic traditions, which were documented by medieval travelers like Marco Polo. He described musicians whose melodies could supposedly quell storms or even mend broken bones. These were not viewed as superstitions, but as precise applications of vibration, tuned to frequencies that resonated with both the human body and the earth itself. In 2025, researchers at fringe science institutes, inspired by these accounts, have conducted experiments using biofeedback devices to replicate tones at specific hertz ranges, often around 440, a frequency that eerily matches our own modern musical scales. A report from a Siberian lab in July 2025 described subjects experiencing reduced inflammation and heightened mental clarity after being exposed to these frequencies, as if the Tatars had unlocked a science of harmonic healing. Some theorists posting on X under handles like Ancient Tech speculate that these vibrations could tap into the Earth's geomagnetic fields, creating resonance chambers that amplified human vitality or could even manipulate physical matter. Such chambers, discovered deep beneath Buffalo, New York in 2025, emit a faint hum during solar flares, and their walls are etched with petroglyphs resembling Siberian Tatar symbols. These structures, buried under thick layers of mud, suggest a lost network of acoustic technology, perhaps used to stabilize nomadic encampments or to communicate across vast silent distances. These structures, buried under thick layers of mud, suggest a lost network of acoustic technology, perhaps used to stabilize nomadic encampments or to communicate across vast silent distances. But the mystery deepens when we look at the Tatars' woodworking, a craft that seems to defy modern engineering. Legends, echoed in your comments on our channel, describe wooden panels within a Turkish mosque, likely the Süleymaniye in Istanbul, that were crafted without any adhesives or fasteners. Their surfaces depict a solar system with 9 planets, including Pluto, a celestial body unknown to Europe until 1930. These panels, said to self-assemble through precisely engineered cuts and sonic vibrations, pulse with a faint resonance when touched, as if they are encoded with a form of energy. A March 2025 video on YouTube analyzing similar Sumerian engravings suggests the Tatars inherited their astronomical knowledge from the lost continent of Mu, a Pacific civilization believed to have been submerged at the end of the last ice age. This connection is not mere fantasy. Posts on X from @Tartaria Truth in August 2025 link these relics directly to Sumerian tablets that also depict 9 planets, hinting at a shared ancient legacy. The sheer precision of the woodworking, with interlocking pieces that fit together like a cosmic puzzle, implies a mastery of both geometry and acoustics, where sound waves may have guided the tools to carve with sub-millimeter accuracy. Could these panels have served as more than just art? Perhaps they were portable devices designed to harness atmospheric energy or to encode celestial data for navigation across the globe. Delving deeper, the resonance chambers uncovered beneath Buffalo in 2025 offer tantalizing new clues. Photographs shared in underground forums reveal subterranean vaults with walls etched in patterns that mirror Tatar petroglyphs discovered in Siberia's Altai region. These chambers, buried under a uniform layer of sediment consistent with a mud flood, emit low-frequency hums during geomagnetic disturbances, powerful enough to disrupt nearby electronics. A July 2025 report from independent researchers posits that they were once acoustic amplifiers used by Tatar nomads to enhance their endurance or to project signals across the steppes. Artificial intelligence analyses of texts from Siberian vaults, also unearthed in 2025, describe fold points, quantum mechanisms designed to compress matter or space, allowing entire hordes to traverse vast distances with minimal resources. These texts, written in a blend of Turkic runes and Slavic symbols, suggest the Tatars wielded a science akin to modern quantum levitation, where specific vibrational frequencies could align particles to defy gravity. In 2025, Laboratory 2 experiments inspired by these decodings have successfully levitated small objects using sound waves, but uncontrolled tests have also caused tremors, echoing the very cataclysms that may have buried these technologies in the first place. The connection to Mo adds a layer of cosmic intrigue. Your comments frequently mention Mo as a mythological source for Tatar knowledge, a Pacific continent said to have flourished 12,000 years ago, its crystal-powered society chronicled by the 19th-century explorer James Churchward. In 2025, fringe theorists on platforms like Reddit's Tartaria propose that Tatar shamans were the descendants of Mu's survivors who fled the rising seas and migrated to Central Asia. Their astronomical engravings, like the solar system that includes Pluto, are seen as mirroring Mu's reputed star maps, which were preserved through oral traditions. A January 2025 article in All That's Interesting explores this, noting striking similarities between Tatar petroglyphs and Polynesian navigational symbols, suggesting ancient transoceanic migrations. Synonymics between Tatar petroglyphs and Polynesian navigational symbols, suggesting ancient transoceanic migrations. Could the Tatars have inherited a technology to encode cosmic knowledge into wood, using vibrations to preserve it through cataclysms? The buffalo chambers with their humming walls may have been waypoints in a global network, resonating with the lost energy grids of Mu. Yet the question lingers, why were these technologies erased? The mud flood, a topic we've explored in previous episodes, offers a chilling answer. Theorists, including those featured on a July 2025 podcast, Deep Research, Tartaria, argue that a global deluge of liquefied earth in the early 19th century buried Tatar cities, their towering spires and advanced devices then repurposed by their conquerors. The resonance chambers found under cities like Buffalo and Kazan suggest this was a deliberate act, perhaps carried out with sonic or electromagnetic weapons. As speculated in posts on X from @AncientTech in July 2025. These posts claim that Ottoman records describe boiling waters in the Black Sea where submerged portals induced visions among sailors, hinting at Tatar technologies that were simply too powerful for rival empires to tolerate. In 2025, divers exploring anomalies in the Karadeniz region report fleeting images of colossal horsemen manipulating glowing orbs, as if the portals themselves preserve psychic residues. Could these be ancient safeguards, designed to deter intruders while encoding knowledge for future generations of heirs? The Tatars' shamanic rituals add yet another dimension. In 2025, psychic experiments conducted at Bosnia's Visoko pyramids, which are linked to Tatar migratory paths, have yielded visions of towering figures chanting around bonfires, their voices lifting megaliths into place or compressing energy for healing. Parapsychology reports describe these rituals as a form of frequency weaving, where sound was aligned with the Earth's natural pulses to create protective energy fields. A 2025 X thread from @Mystic Echoes suggests these ceremonies actually encoded history into the landscape itself, accessible only under specific vibrational conditions. The buffalo chambers, humming during solar flares, may be remnants of such fields, their petroglyphs a kind of forgotten script for nomadic survival. This aligns perfectly with the AI decodings from the Siberian vaults, which describe portable resonance devices, tools made of wood or stone, that amplified human capabilities, allowing Tatar hordes to erect temporary fortresses overnight, only to vanish without a trace. The global reach of these technologies hints at a much broader conspiracy. Your comments often note the Tatars' incredible diversity: the white-skinned Kipchaks, the red-haired giants, the yellow-hued Mongols, and the black Tatars sold into slavery in Africa, their bloodlines seeding Caribbean lore. This multiculturalism, unified under the Golden Horde, suggests a network that spanned continents, from the shores of Mu in the Pacific. Genetic studies in 2025, reported in the journal Nature, have uncovered Middle Eastern markers in Tatar populations, hinting at ancient crossings via Beringia or maritime routes. Could their technologies have facilitated such journeys, using resonance to compress sustenance, or to navigate by the stars? The Suleymaniye Mosque's relic, with its intricate solar map, may have been a navigational tool, its vibrations guiding hordes across uncharted lands. Yet European conquerors, as you've pointed out, systematically fragmented this legacy, crediting their achievements to Arabs or Greeks in order to erase a unified heritage. The persistence of these anomalies in 2025, the glowing chambers, the psychic visions, the decoded texts, raises deeply unsettling questions. If the Tatars mastered sound to heal and wood to encode the cosmos, what other sciences did they command? Were their technologies deliberately buried to prevent a nomadic resurgence, one that could challenge empires built on control? And as solar flares intensify, reactivating these ancient grids, are we on the cusp of rediscovering their secrets, or are we about to unleash forces that were long ago contained? The answers lie buried, perhaps in the next vault to be opened, waiting for those who are bold enough to listen to the Earth's forgotten songs. In the shadowed halls of a 19th-century archive, a cloaked figure moves silently through the stacks. He is replacing ancient manuscripts with sanitized volumes that methodically erase the Tatar legacy. With each page turned to ash, the whispers of a grand empire, its cities powered by unseen energies, its people weaving a web of cultures across continents, are reduced to a single dismissive myth called Tartaria. This is not merely a tale of lost history, it is a story of deliberate concealment, orchestrated by elites who now weaponize nostalgia to distract us from the ongoing erasure of the Tatars' true heirs. In 2025, as digital forums buzz with theories about Tartaria, the real tragedy is unfolding in plain sight: the systematic oppression of Turkic peoples like the Uyghurs and the Kazakhs. Their cultures are being crushed while the world chases a phantom empire. Why would anyone craft such a deception, cloaking a vibrant heritage in the guise of a lost utopia? Could the Tartaria myth itself be a tool designed to divert our gaze from modern genocides being perpetrated by the very same forces that buried the Tatars' technologies centuries ago? And what secrets, hidden in plain sight, might unravel if we dared to look beyond the veil? The Tartaria conspiracy, which has surged in popularity on platforms like X and podcasts throughout 2025, paints a seductive picture: a global superpower with spires that harnessed atmospheric energy, erased by a cataclysmic mudflood, and then rewritten out of history by shadowy cabals. Yet your comments on our channel often pierce through this narrative, suggesting that Tartaria is not just a lost empire, but a manufactured distraction. This weaponized nostalgia, as you've termed it, shifts our focus away from the very real suppression of Turkic peoples, the descendants of the Tatars, who face cultural annihilation today. A July 2025 post on X from the account @truthproj details the grim reality in Xinjiang, China, where an estimated 1 to 3 million Uyghurs languish in detention camps, subjected to forced labor and cultural erasure. An August 2025 report from Amnesty International laments that there has been no accountability 3 years after a United Nations finding of potential crimes against humanity. Human Rights Watch noted in February 2025 the use of travel bans and forced assimilation, with Uyghur identity being systematically reshaped through labor programs in cotton and solar panel production, a fact detailed by the Center for Strategic and International Studies in August 2025. This is not abstract history, it is a living wound, largely ignored while the myths of Tartaria flourish. The conspiracy's roots trace back to a deeper agenda, one articulated in Dean Henderson's royal bloodline Wetiko and the Great Remembering, a book still fiercely debated in 2025. Henderson argues that an Anunnaki bloodline, originating in Sumeria 8,500 years ago, has flowed through Babylon, Rome, and into the modern elites in the City of London. This lineage, he claims, is infected by Wetiko, a Native American term for a spirit of insatiable greed, and it orchestrates periodic resets, like the mud floods, to maintain control. The Illuminati, the Jesuits, and the Freemasons, as you've noted, are accused of replacing history books after the 1800s, compressing the Tatars' achievements into vague tales of nomadic raiders. A 2025 thread on X from @ConspiracyWatch claims that Ottoman sultans, possibly influenced by these cabals, engineered mudfloods in the Black Sea region to bury Tatar portals, circular depressions etched with runes that are now reportedly inducing visions among divers. As reported in July 2025, these portals, described in declassified Ottoman records, were said to emit boiling lights, perhaps plasma discharges from malfunctioning technologies that were too potent for imperial control. Why hide such power? To ensure our dependency on finite resources, keeping humanity tethered to systems that enrich the few. This concealment extends directly to education, a point you've raised with chilling clarity. From childhood, our curricula instill narratives that glorify Western progress while dismissing non-European empires as primitive. The Tatars, whose Golden Horde bridged Asia and Europe with sophisticated trade routes and postal systems, are reduced to barbaric stereotypes. A June 2025 article from the Library of Congress traces the term Tartary on Western maps, noting its gradual dissolution into obscurity by the 19th century, not a natural evolution but, as you argue, a deliberate erasure designed to suppress a unified Turkic heritage. The Freemasons, with their geometric symbols that mirror Tatar runes, are accused of co-opting this legacy, their lodges hiding relics like Hemmingstones, as allegedly uncovered in 2025 scans of an Oddfellows basement. These artifacts, which emit frequencies during solar flares, suggest a technology that was suppressed to prevent nomadic independence, a freedom that inherently threatens empires built on control. Henderson's concept of Wetiko ties this to a broader agenda, elites manipulating bloodlines to hoard knowledge, from Sumerian star maps to Tatar resonance devices, while the masses are fed sanitized histories. The Tartaria myth, as explored in a February 2025 podcast titled The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire, serves as a perfect distraction. By romanticizing a lost utopia, it diverts our attention from real-time oppressions. The Kazakhs, another group of Tatar kin, face Russification in Kazakhstan, with a third of their population having been erased during Soviet purges, as noted in a July 2025 post from @GumeBears. This echoes the fate of the Crimean Tatars, who were deported en masse in 1944, with 46% perishing, a genocide recognized by the Netherlands in 2025, according to the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization. Yet online forums chase Tartarian spires while ignoring these living descendants. The 2025 book, The Mudflood Hypothesis, now available in audio format, claims to reveal buried cities with free energy grids, But your comments argue this pseudo-history actively obscures the systematic destruction of Turkic cultures. Why? To prevent the recognition of a heritage that could inspire resistance against modern systems of control, from the dollar-driven economy to state-enforced assimilation. Let us pause in a shadowed steppe, where a Tartar elder in the year 1500 recounts tales of his ancestors who sailed from the sunken shores of Mu, their knowledge encoded in wood and song. As he speaks, agents of a rival empire, perhaps Jesuit scribes, burn his scrolls, replacing them with tales of nomadic savagery. This vignette, though imagined, reflects the core of the conspiracy, a deliberate rewriting of history to fragment a people's identity. In 2025, this process continues. Posts on X from Ata Legacy in August highlight how Tartar achievements, from astronomical engravings to resonance technologies, are accredited to Europeans or Arabs, erasing their Turkic roots. The Süleymaniye Mosque's wooden relic depicting Pluto is dismissed as simple Ottoman art, yet its craftsmanship suggests a science far beyond its era. Artificial intelligence decodings of texts from Siberian vaults, reported in 2025, reveal descriptions of fold points, quantum mechanisms to compress space, allowing hordes to vanish across the steppes. These technologies were buried, you suggest, to prevent a resurgence of nomadic freedom, a lifestyle unbound by borders or resources. The global scope of this conspiracy emerges in unexpected places. Your comments point to vitrified glass in deserts, suggesting ancient nuclear events and sulfur anomalies unexplained by natural processes, perhaps the remnants of Tartar plasma weapons fused during cataclysms. Old maps showing a green Greenland and a forested Sahara dotted with cities imply that pole shifts or engineered floods have reshaped the Earth. The March 2025 video, analyzing ancient Indian engravings that depict a solar system with Pluto links directly to Tartar woodworking, suggesting a shared astronomical heritage. These clues, scattered across continents, point to a global Tartarian network, its technologies suppressed to maintain a Eurocentric narrative. The Illuminati, having allegedly infiltrated Tartar societies during the Golden Horde's decline, are accused of co-opting these secrets, using them in modern black projects while erasing their origins. A 2025 post on X from Ancient Tech claims that suppressed patents from the 1900s mirror Tartar resonance devices, hinting at elite hoarding. The real cost of this deception is borne by the Tatars' descendants. In 2025, Uyghur women face bans on hijabs and beards, their mosques shuttered, as noted in a September post from Atra Nielsen. Kazakhs endure linguistic erasure, their schools forced to adopt Russian curricula. These are not isolated acts, but part of a pattern, you argue, where the allure of Tartaria distracts from cultural genocides. The irony of the conspiracy is cruel. While theorists search for a lost empire, the Tatars' true heirs fight for their very survival. Henderson's Great Remembering calls for an awakening against this Wetiko-driven agenda, urging us to reclaim these suppressed truths, yet the questions cascade. If Tartaria is a myth designed to veil oppression, what technologies lie hidden in elite vaults? Are the glowing artifacts and psychic visions reported in 2025 at Bosnian pyramids and Siberian sites signals of a reawakening, or are they traps designed to deepen our distraction? And as elites perpetuate these cycles of control, what role do we play in breaking them? These enigmas, pulsing like the Tatars' ancient songs, demand our attention. The Tartaria myth, while seductive, risks overshadowing the real struggles of Turkic peoples, their heritage buried not just in mud, but in silence. Let us carry these questions into the night, seeking the truths that lie beyond the veil. Beneath the bustling streets of 21st century Chicago, half-buried windows peer out from sunken basements, as if the entire city once sank into a sea of earth. In San Francisco, construction crews unearth cobblestone streets far below the modern grade, sealed under uniform layers of sediment. Across the Atlantic, in Russia's Kazan, Restored Kremlins reveal foundations deeply embedded in clay, their stones etched with patterns that are said to hum faintly during solar flares. These are not mere quirks of urban development. They are the scars of a global mud flood, a cataclysmic event that theorists claim swept across the world in the early 19th century, swallowing Tatar cities and their advanced technologies in a viscous tide. Swept across the world in the early 19th century, swallowing Tatar cities and their advanced technologies in a viscous tide. Was this a natural disaster born of seismic upheavals or cosmic disturbances? Or was it a weaponized assault, engineered by shadowy forces to erase a Tartarian empire that threatened their dominion? In 2025, as glowing forts and submerged portals begin to resurface, the mud flood hypothesis pulses with new life, raising questions that defy easy answers. What triggered this deluge? And what secrets does it still conceal, right beneath our feet? The mud flood theory, a cornerstone of Tartaria conspiracies, posits that a sudden planet-wide surge of liquefied earth buried entire civilizations, leaving only their upper stories to be repurposed by the victors. July 2025 podcast, Deep Research, Tartaria, explores this, citing evidence from cities like Chicago, where buildings from the 1850s appear to have been excavated, their basements seemingly dug out from sediment that defies any gradual accumulation. Photographs from the era show sidewalks elevated high above buried ground floors, with windows peering out at street level like eyes half closed in a deep slumber. In San Francisco, reports from before the 1906 earthquake detail foundations sunk inexplicably deep, as if the city had been interred long before being reclaimed. Across Eurasia, from Kazan to Paris, similar anomalies emerge, catacombs and quarries that hide levels submerged in a uniform layer of clay, suggesting a singular, rapid event. An August 2025 article from All That's Interesting describes this as a deliberate reset, with mud engulfing Tatar metropolises, their free energy spires and resonance devices buried to prevent their rediscovery. But what could possibly cause such a widespread calamity? Traditional science points to liquefaction during earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, where soil can behave like quicksand, yet the sheer scale of the mud flood, spanning continents with consistent layers of sediment, defies these conventional explanations. Some theorists posting on X under handles like @Tartaria Truth in July 2025 link it to the Carrington event of 1859, a massive solar flare that disrupted telegraphs worldwide. Could an electromagnetic pulse have destabilized the Earth's crust, turning solid ground into a flowing morass? Others draw parallels to ancient deluge myths, Noah's flood, the Epic of Gilgamesh, or Sundanese tales of a great inundation, suggesting a modern echo of a biblical reset, not with water but with mud. A 2025 X thread from @Ansintech proposes a more sinister cause: geological warfare. It suggests that rival factions, perhaps remnants of older empires, or an Anunnaki bloodline deployed sonic or electromagnetic devices to liquefy the Earth. These weapons, hinted at in declassified Ottoman records, are said to have caused boiling waters in the Black Sea, where coastal settlements vanished under mud, their portals emitting plasma-like discharges that induced visions among sailors. These portals, uncovered in 2025 sonar mappings of the Black Sea's Karadeniz region, add a layer of profound mystery. Divers report circular depressions etched with Tatar runes, structures that distort compasses and trigger fleeting images of colossal horsemen manipulating glowing orbs. A July 2025 report from independent researchers suggests these are psychic safeguards designed to protect Tatar technologies while encoding their history for future generations. The mud flood in this view was no accident but a targeted strike to bury these portals, whose quantum properties described in AI decodings of Siberian vault texts allowed the Tatars to compress space for instantaneous travel. These texts, unearthed in 2025, detail fold points mechanisms to manipulate matter or energy enabling entire hordes to appear and vanish across the steppes without need for supply lines. Could such power have threatened the emerging industrial powers, prompting a coordinated effort to entomb it? The glowing forts scattered across Scotland, India and Siberia offer further clues. In 2025, these structures, their walls fused into glass by intense heat, have been observed emitting a soft luminosity during solar flares, disrupting nearby electronics with low-frequency hums. A September 2025 post on X from @Mystic Echoes claims they were Tatar defenses, engineered to withstand cosmic or earthly threats using plasma technologies. These forts, often dismissed as the result of natural lightning strikes, align with the mudflood's timeline, their vitrified surfaces suggesting a cataclysmic event that literally melted stone. Theorists argue they were part of a global network protecting Tatar resonance chambers, like those found beneath Buffalo in 2025. These chambers, etched with petroglyphs mirroring Siberian designs, hum during geomagnetic storms, as if reactivating long-dormant grids. These chambers, etched with petroglyphs mirroring Siberian designs. A fringe parapsychology report from 2025 describes psychic experiments at Scotland's vitrified forts, where participants experienced visions of Tatar shamans chanting specific frequencies to fortify their defenses, their voices weaving energy fields that shielded their nomadic camps. The conspiracy deepens with whispers of elite orchestration. Your comments on our channel often point to the Illuminati, the Jesuits, and the Freemasons as the architects of this erasure, a narrative echoed in Dean Henderson's Royal Bloodline, Wetiko and A Great Remembering, still debated in 2025. Henderson claims an Anunnaki bloodline, tracing back to Sumeria 8,500 years ago, infiltrated Tatar societies during the Golden Horde's decline, co-opting their technologies for elite agendas. The mud flood, in this lens, was a weaponized reset, using sonic oscillators akin to those Nikola Tesla later experimented with to liquefy soil and bury the evidence. A 2025 X post from a Conspiracy Watch cites Ottoman chronicles describing earth-shaking hums preceding coastal deluges, suggesting that the Tatars' enemies deployed such devices to drown their cities. The Freemasons, with their symbols that mirror Tatar runes, are accused of preserving these secrets in hidden vaults, their lodges guarding humming relics that activate during flares, as reported in 2025 scans of an Oddfellows basement. The global reach of this event is staggering. In Salt Lake City, pioneer accounts from the 1840s describe ruins half buried in sediment, their domed structures and precise masonry echoing Tatar aesthetics. Across Europe, the catacombs of Paris hide levels flooded with clay, preserving artifacts that include strange conduits, suggesting some form of advanced engineering. These sites all share a common thread: uniform layers of sediment inconsistent with gradual erosion, pointing to a rapid, catastrophic burial. A 2025 geophysical survey, reported in the journal Nature, has detected anomalies beneath the Eurasian steppes, hinting at buried infrastructures aligned with geomagnetic lines. Could these be the remnants of Tatar energy grids designed to harness atmospheric electricity? As speculated in a July 2025 podcast, the colossal reach of the Tartarian Empire, the mudflood's timing coinciding with the Napoleonic Wars, the War of 1812, and the Tambora eruption of 1815, raises deep suspicions. Was Tambora's year without a summer a cover for artificial triggers, its ash mixing with engineered mud to obscure the truth? Cosmic influences add another layer of intrigue. The Great Comet of 1811, visible for months, is cited in 2025 posts on X from @Tartaria Truth as a potential harbinger, its tail depositing dust that altered atmospheric conditions, perhaps triggering a hyperliquefaction event. Alternatively, a pole shift, a sudden reorientation of the Earth's magnetic field, could have destabilized the continents, causing mud to flow like rivers. Sediment cores from 2025, analyzed in Geophysical Research Letters, show unexplained anomalies from this period, supporting theories of a rapid global event. Yet the question persists, was this flood a natural catastrophe or a deliberate act to erase a civilization that was too advanced for its time? The Anunnaki, according to Henderson, may have intervened, using ancient technologies to reset humanity's progress, ensuring our dependency on finite resources. Your comments suggest a cycle of control, where elites stoke fears, wars, pandemics, economic crashes, to maintain their power, mirroring the erasure of the mud flood. The artifacts now resurfacing in 2025, glowing forts, humming chambers, submerged portals, challenge us to reconsider the entire narrative of history. If the mud flood was engineered, what other cataclysms lie hidden in our past? Are the visions at the Karadeni's portals warnings from Tartar ancestors, encoded to awaken us? And as solar flares intensify, reactivating these ancient grids, are we on the brink of rediscovering a lost science, or of unleashing forces that were meant to stay buried? These questions linger, pulsing beneath the Earth's silent surface. In the heart of the 13th century, the sprawling markets of Sarai pulse with life, their stalls brimming with silk from Cathay, spices from India, and furs from the frozen north. Towering above the city, a network of Yam postal stations dispatches riders across thousands of miles, their messages carried with a speed that could rival modern couriers. This is no chaotic horde of barbarians, but the Golden Horde, a Tartar empire that wove together east and west with unmatched sophistication. Under the rule of its khans, its streets would hum with the chants of shamans, whose music could heal ailments, while artisans carved wooden panels that meticulously mapped the stars, Pluto among them, hinting at a knowledge centuries ahead of its time. Yet the brilliance of this empire has been relegated to the shadows, its greatest achievements buried deep in the annals of history. Why did a civilization that mastered trade, communication, and celestial science simply vanish into obscurity? Could the Golden Horde's innovations, its resonance technologies and its cosmic maps, have threatened a world order that sought to erase its legacy? In 2025, as new discoveries unearth its secrets, the story of the Horde demands that we question what history is hiding. The Golden Horde, founded by Batu Khan in the 1240s, stretched from the Volga River to the Pacific Ocean, a vast dominion that bridged cultures and continents. Far from the savage raiders depicted in Western chronicles, the Horde was a vibrant hub of commerce and innovation. Sarai, its capital, was said to rival Constantinople in grandeur, with bustling markets that traded goods from Venice to Beijing. The Yam system, a sophisticated network of relay stations, enabled messages to travel up to 200 miles a day, predating modern postal services by centuries. A 2025 article from History Today describes this as a logistical marvel, with stations fully stocked with fresh horses and provisions, ensuring the Horde's firm grip on its far-flung territories. This was no mere empire of conquest. It was a machine of connectivity, its roads bustling with merchants, diplomats, and scholars. Under the reign of Özbeg Khan, beginning in 1313, the Horde embraced Islam, fostering a cultural renaissance that blended Turkic, Mongol, and Persian traditions. Mosques rose alongside shamanic shrines, their domes etched with patterns that echoed celestial alignments. The Horde's technological prowess lies at the heart of its enigma. Your comments on our channel often highlight their shamanic music, described by medieval travelers like Ibn Battuta as a form of medicine. These melodies, tuned to specific frequencies, were said to soothe ailments and restore balance, a practice now echoed in 2025 biofeedback experiments. A July 2025 report from a Siberian lab notes that tones at 440 Hz, matching modern musical scales, were found to reduce stress and inflammation in subjects, suggesting the Tatars had harnessed resonance to heal. Some theorists posting on X under handles like @AncientTech claim these frequencies were aligned with the Earth's geomagnetic fields, creating a science of vibration that could stabilize camps or even communicate across vast distances. In the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul, a wooden relic, likely from the Horde's era, bears a detailed map of the solar system, including Pluto, carved without glue or nails. A March 2025 YouTube video links this directly to Sumerian tablets that also depict 9 planets, proposing the Horde inherited its knowledge from the lost continent of Mu, which was submerged 12,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. This celestial mastery raises questions that ripple through time. How did a nomadic empire map the heavens with such impossible precision? The Pluto carving, dismissed by mainstream historians as merely ornamental, suggests an astronomical science that rivaled that of later Europeans. A 2025 post on X from @Tartaria Truth ties this to Polynesian navigational symbols, hinting at transoceanic migrations undertaken by the survivors of Mu. The Horde's artisans, working in both wood and stone, crafted devices that may have served dual purposes, both art and technology. Their woodworking, as you've noted, likely used sonic vibrations to interlock panels, creating structures that hummed with a latent energy. In 2025, fringe researchers replicating these techniques report that wood can be made to align itself under specific frequencies, as if guided by an unseen force. Could these panels have been portable star maps, used to navigate the endless steppes, or to harness atmospheric energy? The Kazan Kremlin, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, preserves such designs, its walls blending Tatar motifs with Islamic geometry, suggesting a fusion of science and spirituality. The Horde's shamanic rituals deepen this mystery. In 2025, psychic experiments conducted at Bosnia's Visoko pyramids, which are linked to Tatar migratory paths, have yielded visions of shamans chanting around bonfires, their voices seemingly lifting megaliths or compressing energy for communal resilience. A parapsychology report describes these rituals as frequency weaving, where sound was aligned with the Earth's natural pulses to create protective fields. These rituals, preserved in oral traditions, may have encoded cosmic knowledge passed down from refugees of Mu or Atlantis. A January 2025 article in All That's Interesting notes striking similarities between Tatar petroglyphs and Polynesian carvings, suggesting a shared ancient heritage. The Horde's ability to erect temporary fortresses overnight, as described in medieval chronicles, aligns with AI decodings from Siberian vaults in 2025. These texts, a blend of Turkic runes and Slavic symbols, describe fold points, quantum mechanisms designed to compress space or sustenance, enabling entire hordes to traverse vast distances without needing supply lines. Experiments in 2025 labs, inspired by these texts, have successfully levitated small objects using sound, but uncontrolled tests have caused tremors, echoing the very cataclysms that may have buried these technologies. The Horde's global influence adds another layer to this story. Your comments highlight their incredible diversity: the white-skinned Kipchaks, the red-haired giants of legend, the yellow-hued Mongols, and the mythic Black Tartars, sold as slaves to North Africa, their bloodlines seeding the Caribbean lore of the Karabi. Genetic studies conducted in 2025 and reported in Nature have uncovered Middle Eastern markers in Tatar populations, suggesting ancient crossings via Beringia or maritime routes. This multiculturalism, unified under the Horde, directly challenged empires that sought to fragment it. The Horde's vast trade networks, linking China to Europe, facilitated a profound cultural exchange, with Persian astronomers and Chinese engineers contributing to their science. A 2025 thread on X from Arta Legacy claims the Horde's YAM system inspired later European postal networks, yet all the credit was given to Western innovators. Why? To erase a legacy that could inspire nomadic independence, a profound threat to sedentary empires. The erasure of this empire was no accident. The mud flood, explored in our previous discussions, suggests a deliberate cataclysm in the early 19th century buried the Tatar cities, their technologies then repurposed by their conquerors. A July 2025 podcast, The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire, posits that the Horde's resonance devices were specifically targeted, their humming chambers sealed under layers of sediment. In Kazan, excavations in 2025 have uncovered foundations buried deep in clay, their strange conduits hinting at forgotten energy systems. Across Ukraine, burial mounds have yielded artifacts bearing Tatar runes, according to a 2025 archaeology report, suggesting a network that spanned continents. The Freemasons, with symbols that mirror Tatar designs, are accused of co-opting these secrets, their lodges hiding relics that are said to hum during solar flares, as reported in 2025 scans. Dean Henderson's royal bloodline Wetiko, debated in 2025, ties this all to an Anunnaki bloodline that infiltrated the Horde during its decline to hoard its technologies for elite agendas. The Horde's decline, hastened by internal strife and external conquests, marks the beginning of its erasure. By the 1500s, the rise of Moscow had fragmented the Khanates, absorbing their innovations into Russian culture. Yet, traces remain: the domes of the Kazan Kremlin, the echoes of the Yam system in modern logistics, and the oral traditions that preserve shamanic songs. In 2025, Tatar communities are reviving these rituals, their chants echoing ancient frequencies. Why was this empire forgotten? Your comments suggest a deliberate rewriting of history, with European chroniclers crediting Arab or Greek scholars for Tatar achievements. The Pluto carving, dismissed as myth, may have been intended to encode warnings of cataclysms, mud floods or pole shifts that would reset humanity. As 2025 discoveries unearth these truths, the questions multiply. What other technologies did the Horde command? Did their science threaten rival empires, prompting their burial? And as their descendants face modern oppression, are we ignoring a legacy that could reshape our future? These enigmas linger like echoes across the steppes. The Golden Horde, a beacon of forgotten innovation, challenges us to rethink the entire narrative of history. Were their songs and carvings mere art, or were they keys to a science we are only now beginning to rediscover? Across the boundless steppes of the 13th century, a kaleidoscope of faces gathers under the banner of the Golden Horde: white-skinned Kipchaks with piercing blue eyes, red-haired giants whose legends echo in campfire tales, yellow-hued Mongols wielding curved bows, and mythic black Tatars whose descendants would sail to distant shores. This was no monolithic horde, but a vibrant tapestry of peoples, their cultures interwoven into a civilization that spanned continents. From the Uyghurs of ancient Turkestan to the Karabi of the Caribbean, said to be born of enslaved Kipchaks, the Tatars' diversity defies the simplistic labels of history, hinting at a global legacy that stretches from the lost continent of Mu all the way to the Americas. Yet this rich mosaic has been fragmented, its threads unraveled by conquerors who sought to erase a unified heritage. In 2025, as genetic traces and buried artifacts begin to resurface, the Tatars' story challenges us to ask, how did such a diverse people forge an empire of harmony? And why was their legacy scattered across oceans and time? Could their very bloodlines, carrying the secrets of ancient crossings, hold the key to a suppressed truth? The Tatars' multiculturalism, as you've highlighted in your comments, is a cornerstone of their enigma. Far from being a singular ethnic group, they encompassed a wide spectrum of identities: white Kipchaks, the red-haired giants of steppe lore, yellow Mongols, and black Tatars, whose tales persist in mythic whispers. The Kipchaks, known for their fair complexions and nomadic prowess, formed the backbone of the Golden Horde, their warriors dominating the Volga steppes. The Mongols, with their East Asian features, brought military discipline and vast trade networks from China. The red-haired giants, described in medieval chronicles like those of Marco Polo, loom in legends as towering leaders, their stature perhaps exaggerated to mask a unique genetic anomaly or even an extraterrestrial lineage. The Black Tatars, sold as slaves to North Africa during the Byzantine era, carried their heritage to the Mediterranean, their descendants weaving into Caribbean narratives as the Karabi, a term some linguists link to the Arabic for grieving, referencing their forced migrations. A 2025 post on X from @legacy underscores this diversity, noting how these disparate groups were united under the Horde, their shared Turkic roots forging a cultural alloy that defied all borders. This diversity finds echoes in genetic studies conducted in 2025 and published in the journal Nature, which have revealed both Middle Eastern and Central Asian markers in modern Tatar populations, suggesting ancient migrations via Beringia or forgotten maritime routes. These findings resonate with your comments, which often propose a connection to the lost tribes of Israel, particularly the tribe of Judah, whose griffin heraldry mirrors symbols found in Tatar art. A July 2025 article in Archaeology explores artifacts recovered from Ukraine's burial mounds, uncovering Tatar runes alongside motifs resembling biblical iconography, hinting at a spiritual lineage that blended Turkic shamanism with Semitic traditions. Could the Tatars have been the heirs to a diaspora that sailed from the Levant, their ships guided by intricate star maps carved into wood? The Suleymaniye Mosque's relic, depicting a solar system with Pluto, suggests such knowledge was inherited, perhaps from Mu the Pacific. A 2025 thread on X from Ancient Tech ties this directly to Polynesian navigational symbols, proposing transoceanic migrations that linked the Tatars' ancestors to Pacific islanders. The Uyghurs, a key branch of this diverse family, embody the Tatars' enduring legacy. Sharing Scythian ancestry, their Turkic language and Islamic faith trace back to the Golden Horde's cultural renaissance under Özbeg Khan. In 2025, their plight underscores the cost of this legacy's erasure. An August report from Amnesty International details the detention of 1 to 3 million Uyghurs in Xinjiang camps, their language and religion suppressed through forced labor and assimilation. A September 2025 post on X from @truthproject highlights bans on hijabs and beards, with mosques shuttered to erase their cultural identity. Yet their resilience echoes the Tatars' nomadic spirit, their oral traditions preserving tales of star-guided journeys. Could these stories encode actual memories of Mu's survivors, who fled the rising seas and migrated to Central Asia, their knowledge woven into the fabric of the Horde? A January 2025 article in All That's Interesting notes striking similarities between Uyghur petroglyphs and Polynesian carvings, suggesting a shared heritage that once spanned oceans. The Caribbean connection adds a haunting dimension to this story. Your comments note that Kipchaks, sold as slaves by the Byzantines, carried Tatar blood to North Africa, their descendants eventually blending into the transatlantic slave trade. The term Caribeb, used in Caribbean folklore, may derive from these exiles, their stories of steppe warriors morphing into tales of resilience. In 2025, genetic studies of Caribbean populations, reported in the American Journal of Human Genetics, have uncovered Turkic markers alongside African and Native American ones, hinting at a complex and forgotten diaspora. These bloodlines, scattered by conquest, suggest the Tatars' reach extended far beyond Eurasia, their navigators perhaps crossing oceans long before Columbus. A 2025 post on X from @legacy speculates that Tatar sailors guided by wooden star maps reached the Americas, their technologies absorbed by the indigenous builders of mounds like Cahokia, whose solstice-aligned pyramids echo the Horde's own astronomical prowess. The conspiracy of erasure emerges as a central question. Why was this diverse heritage so systematically fragmented? Dean Henderson's royal bloodline Wetiko, debated in 2025, argues that an Anunnaki bloodline, tracing from Sumeria to modern elites, orchestrated the Horde's dissolution, co-opting their technologies while rewriting history. The Freemasons, with symbols that mirror Tatar griffins, are accused of hiding relics in their lodges, their humming stones, said to activate during the 2025 solar flares, according to reports from Oddfellows' basements. European conquerors, from Moscow to Istanbul, credited Tatar achievements to Arabs or Greeks, as you've noted, to diminish a unified Turkic identity. A July 2025 podcast, The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire, suggests the mudflood was engineered to bury Tatar cities to prevent their resurgence, their resonance devices sealed under sediment. In Ukraine, 2025 excavations have uncovered burial mounds with artifacts bearing Tatar runes, hinting at a global network that was erased by design. This diversity, unified under the Horde, posed a direct threat to empires built on control. The Kipchaks' mobility, the Mongols' discipline, and the mythic giants' strength created a civilization that defied all borders. Their shamanic rituals, blending Turkic and Israelite elements, encoded knowledge in song and stone, as seen in 2025 psychic experiments at Bosnia's Visoko pyramids. Participants have reported visions of Tatar councils chanting under starlit skies, their voices weaving energy fields to protect their camps. These rituals, according to a parapsychology report, used frequency weaving to compress sustenance, allowing entire hordes to survive long journeys. Artificial intelligence decodings from Siberian vaults in 2025 describe similar techniques, with fold points enabling spatial compression. Were these technologies, sound, navigation, astronomy, simply too powerful for rival empires to tolerate? A 2025 post on X from @Conspiracy Watch claims that Ottoman sultans, fearing Tatar portals in the Black Sea, engineered mudfloods to bury them, their plasma discharges inducing visions among sailors. The global diaspora of Tatar bloodlines raises unsettling questions. If their navigators reached the Caribbean, what other shores did they touch? Did their star maps, like the Suleymaniye relic, guide them across oceans, their resonance devices powering their ships through storms? And why in 2025 do their descendants, the Uyghurs, Kazakhs and Crimean Tatars, all face cultural erasure, their heritage overshadowed by the myths of Tartaria? The conspiracy, as you've suggested, uses nostalgia to distract from modern genocides, with elites perpetuating these cycles of control. The genetic markers, the humming relics, the psychic visions, they all point to a legacy that refuses to fade. As these truths resurface, what secrets might they unlock? Could the Tatars' incredible diversity hold the key to a unified past, one that challenges the fragmented histories we are all taught? In the stark dawn, an Uyghur woman in Xinjiang stands before a shuttered mosque, her hijab hidden beneath a plain scarf to evade prying eyes. Across the vast steppes of Kazakhstan, a Kazakh elder whispers folk tales to his grandchildren, careful to avoid the Russian words that have crept into their language, eroding their heritage. These are not isolated moments. They are threads in a tapestry of systematic oppression targeting the Turkic descendants of the Tatar peoples, whose vibrant legacy once spanned empires. The Uyghurs and Kazakhs, bound by shared Turkic roots to the Golden Horde, now face cultural erasure in a world distracted by the myths of a lost Tartaria. Why do these communities, the heirs to a civilization that mastered both trade and technology, endure such relentless oppression? Is the Tartaria narrative, so alluring in 2025, a deliberate veil designed to obscure these modern genocides? And what secrets, encoded in their enduring traditions, might threaten the powers that seek to silence them? The Uyghurs are Turkic people with deep linguistic and cultural ties to the Tatars, inhabit China's Xinjiang region, a land once crisscrossed by the Silk Road. Their heritage, steeped in the Golden Horde's unique blend of Islam and shamanism, pulses through their oral traditions and intricate textiles. Yet in 2025 this legacy faces annihilation. An August report from Amnesty International details the detention of 1 to 3 million Uyghurs in camps since 2014, subjected to forced labor in cotton and solar panel production. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, in an August 2025 analysis, notes that these very industries now underpin global supply chains, yet the Uyghurs' plight remains largely unaddressed. A February 2025 report from Human Rights Watch describes travel bans, mosque closures and prohibitions on hijabs and beards, all designed to strip away their cultural identity. A September 2025 post on X from @Uyghur Truth Project highlights the forced sterilization of Uyghur women, a chilling echo of genocide. These are not mere policies. They are a calculated effort to erase a people, their language replaced with Mandarin, their faith branded as extremism. Why such ferocity? Some theorists, echoing your comments, suggest the Uyghurs' Turkic heritage, linked to the Tatars' advanced technologies, poses a direct threat to elites who fear a resurgence of nomadic resilience. The Kazakhs, another group of Turkic kin, face a parallel struggle. Descended from the same Scythian roots as the Tatars, their nomadic traditions once dominated Central Asia's steppes. Yet Soviet purges in the 1930s decimated a third of their population, as noted in a July 2025 post from @Gemeibers. In 2025, Russification continues to erode their identity. Schools are forced to enforce Russian curricula, sidelining the Kazakh language, while cultural festivals are monitored for signs of separatism. A 2025 report from the Center for European Policy Analysis details how Russia's influence systematically suppresses Kazakh heritage, replacing it with narratives that glorify Soviet unity. This mirrors the Tatars' historical erasure, where the achievements of the Golden Horde were credited to others. Your comments argue that the Tartaria myth, which has gone viral in 2025 through podcasts like Deep Research, Tartaria, actively distracts from these real-time oppressions. It weaponizes nostalgia, shifting our focus to a phantom empire, while living cultures are being crushed. This distraction is no accident, you've suggested, but part of a broader conspiracy. Dean Henderson's royal bloodline, Wetiko, and the Great Remembering, debated in 2025, claims that an Anunnaki bloodline stretching from Sumeria to modern elites orchestrates these cultural genocides to maintain control. The Tartaria narrative, according to a July 2025 X thread from @Conspiracy Watch, serves as a perfect decoy, romanticizing a lost utopia while conveniently ignoring the struggles of the Uyghurs and Kazakhs. This mirrors historical patterns. European conquerors systematically fragmented the Golden Horde, crediting its innovations to Arabs or Greeks. In 2025, the same tactic persists, with global powers benefiting from Uyghur labor while dismissing their heritage as peripheral. A September 2025 post from @Reneosen notes the resilience of Uyghur women, who continue to weave traditional patterns in secret, their stitches encoding stories of star-guided ancestors, perhaps echoes of the Tatars' celestial knowledge. The Uyghurs' traditions offer tantalizing clues to this suppressed legacy. Their music, once used for healing, mirrors the Tatars' shamanic chants, as described in medieval accounts. In 2025, clandestine recordings of Uyghur songs, shared on underground forums, have been found to resonate at frequencies that have a calming effect on listeners, suggesting a remnant of resonance technology. A fringe experiment, reported in August 2025, tested these tones and found they reduced stress, much like the Tatars' ancient practices. Could these melodies, now banned in Xinjiang, carry encoded knowledge from a Tartarian past? The Kazakhs, too, preserve oral tales of star-guided nomads, their dombra music echoing the rhythms of the horde. A 2025 ethnomusicology study notes striking similarities between Kazakh and Polynesian melodies, hinting at transoceanic migrations from Mu, the lost continent, linked to Tatar origins. These traditions, now under threat, may hold the very secrets that elites seek to suppress, knowledge of navigation or energy that defies modern constraints. The conspiracy deepens with historical parallels. The Tatars' diversity, as you've noted, included Kipchaks sold as slaves to North Africa, their bloodlines seeding Caribbean lore. In 2025, genetic studies published in the American Journal of Human Genetics have uncovered Turkic markers in Uyghur and Kazakh populations, alongside Middle Eastern and Polynesian traces, suggesting ancient crossings. These findings align with a January 2025 All That's Interesting article proposing the Tatars sailed from Mu's sunken shores, their star maps guiding them across the oceans. The Suleymaniye Mosque's wooden relic depicting Pluto may have been such a map, its vibrations aiding navigation. Yet, as the Uyghurs and Kazakhs face cultural obliteration, their ancestral knowledge is dismissed as mere folklore, much as the Tatars was centuries ago. Their ancestral knowledge is dismissed as mere folklore, much as the Tatars was centuries ago. A 2025 post on X from Arta Legacy claims this erasure serves elites who fear a nomadic resurgence, unbound by borders or economies. The role of education in this conspiracy is chilling. Your comments highlight the indoctrination from childhood, where curricula glorify Western progress while marginalizing Turkic contributions. In 2025, Xinjiang schools are replacing Uyghur with Mandarin, literally erasing history, while Kazakh schools adopt Russian texts, sidelining their nomadic heritage. This mirrors the 19th century rewriting of Tatar history, where the Golden Horde's innovations were credited to others. The Freemasons, with symbols echoing Tatar runes, are accused of guarding these secrets in their lodges, their humming relics said to activate during the 2025 solar flares, according to reports from Oddfellows' basements. Henderson's Wetiko theory ties this to an Anunnaki agenda, where elites suppress entire cultures to hoard their technologies. A July 2025 podcast, The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire, suggests the mud flood buried Tatar cities to prevent such a resurgence, its echoes now felt in these modern oppressions. The Life podcast, The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire. The Tartaria myth, while captivating, obscures these realities. A 2025 book, The Mud Flood Hypothesis, now available in audio, claims to reveal buried cities with free energy grids, yet fails to address the plight of the Uyghurs and Kazakhs. This distraction, you've argued, is deliberate, keeping us chasing phantoms while living cultures fade. In 2025, Uyghur activists, like those featured in an August post from the @Uyghur American account, protest at China's Washington embassy, yet global inaction persists. Kazakhs, according to a July 2025 post from @Gumay Bears, are reviving their traditional music in secret, their songs encoding a quiet resistance. These acts of defiance mirror the Tatars' own resilience, their ancestors' chants, having survived centuries of conquest. But why does the world ignore them? Could their traditions, their music, stories and textiles carry the remnants of a Tartarian science that is too potent for the elites to allow? As we ponder these injustices, the questions multiply. If the Uyghurs and Kazakhs are the heirs to the Tatars' legacy, what knowledge do they still preserve? Are their suppressed songs and tales the keys to a lost technology, buried to prevent a nomadic revival? And as Tartaria captivates the world in 2025, why do we continue to chase myths while real genocides unfold? The answers, hidden in the stitches of an Uyghur textile or the notes of a Kazakh dumbra, await those who dare to listen. In the dim light of a Crimean dawn in 1944, families are torn from their homes, herded onto trains bound for distant wastelands. The air is thick with fear as 46% of the Crimean Tatar population perishes in exile, their entire culture branded a threat by Soviet decrees. Fast forward to 2025, and the echoes of this tragedy persist. A Crimean Tatar activist, Nariman Jelial, marks his 4th year in detention, his voice silenced for resisting the Russian occupation. Across Crimea, mosques stand empty, their minarets shadowed by surveillance, while the Tatar language is pushed to the margins of school curricula. This is not merely a continuation of historical injustice, it is a deliberate campaign of Russification, designed to strip a people of their identity while the world, distracted by the myths of a lost Tartaria, looks away. Why do the Crimean Tatars, heirs to the Golden Horde's legacy, face such relentless erasure? Could their enduring traditions, their songs, symbols and stories, hold secrets that threaten modern powers? The Crimean Tatars, a Turkic people with deep roots in the Golden Horde, have long been a cultural bridge between East and West, their heritage blending Islamic faith with nomadic traditions. In 1944, Stalin's regime accused them of collaborating with Nazi Germany and deported over 19,000 to Central Asia, where nearly half died from starvation, disease or exposure. A July 2025 report from the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization notes the Netherlands' recognition of this as a genocide, a belated acknowledgement of a wound that has still not healed. After returning to Crimea in the 1990s, following Ukraine's independence, the Tatars faced renewed persecution with Russia's annexation in 2014. A June 2025 article from the Atlantic Council details ongoing arrests, house searches and bans on cultural gatherings, with 23 such incidents reported by the Mejlis in early 2025. The detention of Nariman Jijeliel, a prominent Mejlis leader, marked its 4th anniversary in September 2025, according to a Facebook post, symbolizing the ruthless suppression of Tatar activism. Russification in 2025 is a calculated assault on their identity. The Center for European Policy Analysis, in a July report, describes how Russian authorities enforce curricula that prioritize the Russian language and history, sidelining Tatar lessons to just a few hours a week. Mosques, once centers of the community, are now monitored or closed, their religious leaders labeled as extremists. A May 2025 Reuters piece highlights the growing fears that Crimea may be fully ceded to Russia, effectively erasing the Tatars' claims to their ancestral land. Your comments on our channel suggest a deeper agenda at play. The Crimean Tatars, like their Uyghur and Kazakh kin, are being targeted to suppress a unified Turkic legacy tied to the Tatars' advanced technologies. The Tartaria myth, which has gone viral in 2025 through podcasts like The Colossal Reach of the Tartarian Empire, serves to distract from this reality, painting a picture of a lost utopia, while living cultures are being systematically erased. Why are we so focused on a phantom empire when its real descendants are fighting for their survival? The Crimean Tatars' traditions offer tantalizing clues to this suppressed heritage. Their music, rooted in the shamanic chants of the Golden Horde, carries frequencies that seem to resonate with the Earth's natural rhythms. In 2025, clandestine recordings shared on underground forums have captured Tatar songs that have a calming effect on listeners, echoing the healing melodies described by medieval travelers. These acts, small but potent, directly challenge the Wetiko-driven elites who, according to Henderson's narrative, hoard ancient knowledge. Could this resurgence finally break their grip, forging a world unbound by borders or scarcity? Yet the shadow of conspiracy persists. The Freemasons, with symbols that mirror Tatar runes, are said to be guarding humming relics in their lodges, according to 2025 reports from Oddfellows' basements. The mud flood, a deliberate reset, was engineered to bury these technologies to prevent nomadic freedom, as argued in the 2025 book The Mud Flood Hypothesis. The Tartaria myth, while inspiring, is also fueling extremism, according to a report from the Global Network on Extremism and Technology, painting the Tatars as victims of a globalist erasure. This risks creating even more division, as seen in the conflicts in Ukraine, where Tatars are being used as pawns, according to a June Atlantic Council article. The real tragedy lies in the silence. 1 to 3 million Uyghurs are still being detained, according to Amnesty International's August 2025 report. Kazakhs are losing their language to Russification, according to a July post from @Gume Bears. Crimean Tatars face arrests, according to the Mejlis's 2025 data. Why are we chasing a lost empire when its living descendants are fighting for their very survival? The answers, hidden in their songs and their genes, await our attention. The questions spiral outward, defying closure. If Tatar technology's resonance, navigation harmony resurface, could they forge a new nomadic utopia free from elite control? Or does Tartaria's allure, as you've warned, distract us from the pursuit of justice, perpetuating these cycles of erasure. The glowing forts, the psychic visions, and the genetic markers of 2025 all suggest a legacy is stirring, its secrets encoded in the very hum of the earth. What if the Tatars' bloodlines, carrying the wisdom of Mu, could awaken a collective resilience? Henderson's great remembering calls for this very awakening, urging us to reclaim the truths that have been buried by Wetiko. As solar flares intensify, reactivating these ancient grids, are we on the cusp of a great rediscovery, or are we being set up for another reset? The revival pulsing through the grassroots efforts of 2025 offers a powerful hope, but only if we can see beyond the myth to the very real struggles of the Turkic peoples. May your dreams be woven with the echoes of these forgotten worlds, carrying you gently into slumber,